Welcome. I'm very excited to be recording again. I'm back from a beautiful trip in Ireland, the country of my ancestor on my mother's side. And it was a fabulous, fabulous trip. The scenery, the people, the food, even the Guinness Zero, believe it or not, is as good as the Guinness, the real Guinness. But it was a beautiful trip. Yet, during that trip, I could notice my ego screaming, talking very loud, which is quite interesting, right? You're in the midst of this beautiful scenery amongst nature, sheep's, everywhere. You look out to the ocean, it's breathtaking. And yet, you got this thing going on in your mind, this narrative, this negative narrative that you can hear. That's your ego screaming. And it was there with me for a little bit. Thank God I've learned to work with myself and coach myself through this process and tame that voice, because otherwise it could have been a very terrible trip when there was no reason for that in reality. And that prompted me to talk about just that in this podcast. I want to explore the ego with you and this voice that we have inside that can make us suffer, that can hurt us. So let's talk about that a little bit. Because we all have it. And maybe that's the starting point. Whether or not you've been on the spiritual path for a long time, or you're just starting out to venture on your own and explore the true nature of your being, and you're on this journey to free yourself, to be more at peace. Well, you know that there's voices going on inside, and it's heavy at times. It's bothering. It's bothersome, and it can talk very loud. So, what's the ego? Let's start there. And let's not make it very complicated, because I think we touched on that in the previous podcast. We don't need to go and venture into a bunch of psychological book to grasp what the ego is. As a matter of fact, you just need to turn inward and look at how you've been in certain periods of your life, or how you are now. Connect with that negative voice inside, and you know what the ego is. It is that. It's all of those self concepts that you created throughout your life, a false self, a false self identity. You created a false identity for yourself. That's the ego. A bunch of self concepts. That's the ego. Master Yogananda called it the masquerading self. It is a mask that's covering up who you truly are. It was built naturally as you grew up because of experiences that you went through. As mundane as a kid laughed at you when you were young, or a parent didn't take care of you as they should, or they took away your favorite toy too soon. Experiences came in. It didn't go out. It stayed there. It troubled you in some sense. And you created a story about that. You created a concept about that. And that's your ego. It has multiple layers. It's very complex because you stored a bunch of things inside, and you never processed them, and they never taught you that at school, right? Nobody offered a class, to my recollection anyways, about spirituality or decent human being 101, or whatever you may call it. We don't teach that stuff in schools, and it's too bad, by the way. But What you are left on your own, so to speak, to figure it out as you grow. Literally and figuratively, as you grow, you're left to figure this one out. So the ego is complex, multi-layered. It was learned through a bunch of experiences that stayed inside you. We can call these blockages. And now it's running your life, literally. And I can say this for certain, for the vast majority of people out there, ego is running your life. You're not running your own life. You're running your life through your ego. So whatever situations and people and circumstances that come up your way, you get this mask that is reacting or dealing with whatever comes your way. That's why Yogananda called it the masquerading self. And at one point you wake up, whether it's sudden by the grace of God or it's gradual, because of some books that you've read or conversations you've had or whatever the means, you wake up and you're saying, hey, wait a minute. I don't want this thing, this narrative, this negative voice in my head, this ego running my life. I want to be free of that. I want to be happy. I want to be at peace. That's why I talk about harmony so much. That's the essence of the spiritual path. Coming in harmony with yourself, with reality, whatever that might be, and not letting all of those concepts and views and opinions and judgments and behaviors and whatnot that you learned and accumulated and kept inside run the show. So you wake up and you want to break free of that. And that's hard. That's the hardest part because it is so well ingrained in us that it's difficult to break free, to turn the page, to start anew. It's a habit in some way. and I'm very gentle when I say in some way because it is truly a habit that we built. I've read lately that I think the sentence went like this: we are seeing the world through the veil of our problems. Same thing. That's the concepts, the views, the opinions, and the judgments, and the ego. We are seeing the world through the veil of our ego, through the veil of our problems. And it's why, when they talk in spiritual books or great text, or when they talk about the veil, that's what it is. Illusion, reality, non-dualism, they're all the same thing. We have, glasses on that are what we've made up our life with. Concept, views, opinions. Again, I'm repeating myself, but I want you to get this. It's at the core of our own spiritual journey and our desire to free ourselves and be happy. Picture this, right? You put on glasses, and these ones are not pink. They're quite black, actually. And they're tinted with a bunch of experiences from mommy to daddy and siblings and bad stuff that happened in your life. These are your glasses through which you see the world. They're tinted with all these opinions and views and judgment and sufferings and sadness. And that's how you see things and people and stuff that are happening. You're at work, something comes up, you see it through those glances. That's why all of a sudden, because your boss tells you, look, I don't like the analysis that you rendered. You need to do it again. for X, Y, and Z, you go all inside. Your heart starts to emote a bunch of emotions, and you listen to it, and then mind kicks in, has something to say, and that's through those glasses that you see the whole situation. Actually, you're fusing with the whole thing, and you forget about who you are, really. The clarity is gone, and all that jazz. Now, as soon as you wake up, it's like you haven't changed your glasses yet, but you found out that in the box there's a tissue, and that you can clean them a little bit. And you start to remove layers of what you've learned and experienced, and all that negative mojo that you got going on inside. Because quite frankly, we're all a mess inside. That's the starting point, right? We're a mess inside, and it's okay. All right, now let's work from there. Yeah, so you take that clot and you start to remove and clean the glasses until maybe at one point um, they're clean enough that you see clearly. You may change the glasses at some point because they're very clean. And at the end of the day, down the road, you're going to realize that you didn't need glasses to start with. But we're not there yet. So let's go back to those dirty glasses tinted by our concepts and views and opinions and our ego. That's how we see the world. That's how we see the reactions and the people and stuff that happen to us. And that's our predicament. And the whole game is about getting those cleaned up to see clearly. There's a bunch of ways in which that can be accomplished. People talk about practices, journaling, breathing, retreats, yoga, and mindfulness, and all that stuff. All good. I mean, I don't teach that because I'd rather teach you what's behind all this and cut to the truth. That speaks to me so much now, so much more now. I've done all that jazz, and I've done all those practices, and I still do them sometimes, and others on a regular basis. But once you realize through maybe doing those practices that you do them to distract you from your distracted mind. It sounds funny to say, but that's really what's going on. Something comes up. Let's say how it goes down, right? Something goes on. Something comes up in your life, whether it's with your kids, your spouse, at work, whatever. Something comes up that hits your stuff. You're going to start to feel all of those emotions, and the mind is going to kick in, and it has a bunch of things to say. And then you're in this vicious cycle, as I call it. The storm starts like this. You listen to the mind even more. You listen to the heart even more. It has other things to say and emote, and then you spin and you spin. You're in this vicious cycle, and it hits your stuff that are blocked inside from wherever, when, whatever, what. Not really important at the end of the day, but that's what's going on. And you just focus on it, and you just pay attention to that. And that's why you keep on spinning, and you're stuck in this negative narrative and vicious cycle of yours. You pay too much attention to the bad stuff, to the negative narrative, and to whatever is going on. And that's why you're fusing with that. That reminds me of a coach that I had. Great man, Donald. Donald is like the Ryan Holiday of Stoicism. When I think of Stoicism, I think Ryan Holiday and Donald Robinson. And I had the privilege of working with Donald for a few years, coaching one on one. And that's one exercise that we kept on coming back to: diffusion. It's at the core of cognitive behavioral therapy. You want to diffuse your thoughts from what's actually going on. Because when when you're in this state of fusion, there's no way you're going to have clarity. There's no way you're going to lift your chin up, or see above the water and know that the shore is right there. Actually, you don't have to freak out about the whole about the whole thing. Yeah, that's a great analogy. I remember once being in Hawaii, and that was a bad day for swimming, and yet I was out there swimming, and I got caught in those rip curls, and they were pretty strong, and I started to freak out because every time I would come up, another wave would hit me and bring me back down. I could barely catch my breath. But at one point, I had just a fraction of a second to catch my breath and look up where I was, and I noticed that the shore was right there. I wasn't too far, and it's all I needed at that point to remember. Okay, just don't fight it, and swim parallel to the shore. It's right there. You get out of this mess, and it's going to be a little bit calmer over there, and you're going to be fine. Well, same thing goes on for us inside in our mind and hearts. You get home, it's been a hard day, it's been a long day, and next thing you know, kid throws a tantrum, your wife passes along a comment that you don't appreciate, and it hits your stuff inside because it reminds you of whatever daddy or mom did, or you just not in the mood for that, and poof, right there. Heart starts to emote some anger, some some sadness. The mind kicks in. "Oh, I had a bad day. Now I come home. I don't need that shit. I'm sorry." Uh, and then the whole ordeal starts, right? This is how it goes. And then it has something else to say, or you want to reply, or you're not clever enough to step back and don't say anything, and you just mouth off something, and the other person gets caught in it too, and then you're fighting, and that's it. Bye bye. You're gone. You're gone, and it becomes a real ordeal inside. Same thing as my story with the waves and the rip curl that you're stuck in. That's how it goes, right? Same thing at work, same thing everywhere. So you just need to realize that this is what you're doing. That you're fusing with what's going on. And that's the first step. That's the first step to get out of this mess. To actually notice that you've been caught up in the situation, that your mind kicked in, your heart kicked in, and it has a bunch of things to say according to the glances that you're wearing, and they're not too clean, as we remember. So acknowledging that, seeing that for what it is, might be the first step. And changing your state at this point. That's why you do all the practices, by the way. You do the practices of meditation and breathing and journaling and yoga and whatnot to bring a little bit more of a sense of centeredness, detachment, calmness. It's a reflex. It's a new habit that you're building for yourself to distract your mind from your mind. That's what it is. It sounds negative when I say it like that, but actually it's not, right? There are great practices to accomplish that, because rare are the beings that are capable of pure sheer will and and just realizing this and applying it right from the get-go. It's so ingrained in us, it's so built in that you need some practice, you need some time to rewire your brain and your body and your emotions to not get caught up in situations and people when they come up and they hit something inside. So you work with yourself, really. You work with yourself gently, very gently, very patiently. It's going to require a lot of patience. Don't think that by conceptually getting it, understanding it, it's going to change. It's going to change, all of a sudden. It will not. You're still going to struggle at times, and you're still going to have your stuff being hit. You're going to react, and you're going to have to play and work with it, and that's fine. It is everybody's path. Even those that have walked the path a little bit longer and are, well into their spiritual journey get caught up in this at another level. There was multiple layer of this, right? Yeah. I was writing a chapter about this in my book yesterday. I was saying, I was writing, wait till you think you're spiritual and then an event happens that gets you all twisted up inside, and then you react, then you're not proud of yourself for what you've done. Now, wait till that happens and see how you have to deal with that now, right? Because here's the story that's going on inside at that point. Oh man, I've worked on myself for too long. I'm a spiritual man or I'm a spiritual woman. I cannot do that. Or this is so underneath me. This is unacceptable. I thought I had, heal this or resolve this for such a long time, and here I am still doing that. Oh man, I'm so bad. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. uh, what kind of spiritual person am I? This is the kind of stuff that are gonna go on, even though you went through those years of practice and understanding and reading and whatnot. It takes a long time to get rid of this masquerading self and those habits and those blockages that you have inside. So, yeah, trust me when I say it's going to require a lot of patience. It's going to require a lot of compassion. Love is the spice in this mix. That's the special ingredient. That's what's going to change the whole flavor profile of the dish you're cooking for yourself here. Love is the ultimate gift here. And you're gonna require a lot of it to go through that change, to die from that version of yourself to a new one. That's what Jesus said when he said you got to die to be reborn. That's what he was talking about. Not literally, although potentially too, but truly, you got to die to this masquerading selves and concepts and views and opinions and judgment, and you got to change those glasses because they're not you. That might be the most beautiful thing of it all, though. I find a lot of solace and a lot of peace in that whenever I get caught up, because I do sometimes still. And every time, by the way, as you progress on this path, it will take you less and less time to deal with that. It will start maybe to years, to months, days, minutes, and then seconds, and that's perfect. That's just the natural evolution of you. And when I do get caught up in this, I'm fairly quick now to turn around and and refine my center, my peace, my equanimity. And I'll find a lot of solace and peace in knowing, because I've experienced it, that whatever appears to be true in the way I react and see things and experience things, it appears to be true, but I know now that it's not me, it's not the real me. And that's also the case for you. I see you whole and free. I don't see you partially free and with holes. There's a difference between being whole, WHOLE, and holes, having holes, HOLES, right? You might have a few holes right now, but in reality, you are already whole, WHOLE. Let me put it this way. People try to go to God. They try to be at peace. They try to be in union with love, life, the universe, whatnot. Call it whatever you want. But in reality, you're already there. My coach Alan used to say, at one point you're going to find out that you're not a seeker. You're a finder. When you find out that you're already that, you're already whole, you are already in that state of being completely at peace, in love, and free, but you just drop down. You just forget about it. And you just pay too much attention to what's going on, and you fuse with what's going on, and you're being so much distracted by what's going on that you put back on those dirty glasses and you see your life through the veils of your problem. That's what is going on. You are whole. You are complete. You are beautiful. And whatever you did and whatever you will do, it doesn't change that at all. You're a beautiful being. Hear me out. You're a beautiful being. Trust that. Know that. And use it. Use it for your own freedom, for your own liberation. That's the school of life here. That's the school of life. We are here. We are sent on earth to evolve. So you're going to have to go through your stuff. You're going to have to go through tough times, in every life, some rain must fall. That's fine. Use it. Use it to go to God. Use it to free yourself. Use it to be completely happy, free. You know that in Sanskrit, when you read Hindu text, like the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas or the Sutras of Patanjali, I just love these texts. I live by it now. This is all I read, really. They call God Satchitananda, meaning eternal consciousness bliss or eternal ecstasy. It's hard to translate, but that's what they give as a name to God. And you're a spark of the divine. You are that. How can it be any different, right? Before there was anything, there was God. And there you are. So you're part of it. Sometimes I go to sleep and a prayer that I go by is, I am as much in you as you are in me. I am as much as you in you as you are in me. You are a spark of the divine. You are a spark of that universe, of life, of God. You are that. So don't get yourself fooled by all of those emotions and thoughts that you might have, and the struggle and the obstacles and whatever's going on. That's not what you are. That's not who you are. And you just got to work your way through it. You got to use it to be in that much more blissful state that I just talked about. So here we are. We started in Ireland, came back to Canada, and on that trip, we talked about the ego. The ego being all of those self concepts and views and opinions that you've built for yourself through the experiences that you had in your life. And they're not you, but you do have to use them, and you do have to face them. You don't want to be stuck with that inside of yourself. You don't want to continue to view life through the veil of your problems and through those glasses that are tinted by all of that negative stuff. You want to see life for what it is. And it just is what it is. You're gonna come to see that one day. That whatever is. That's it. And to be in harmony with that, whatever that is the highest state you can live by. There's so much joy and freedom in that. Are you gonna get caught up at times? Yeah, for sure. My teacher used to say, remember that great masters have the same neurosis as you do. They just don't pay attention to it. And you can do that too. We can all embrace the beautiful, whole, human, loving being that we are and not pay too much attention to whatever is going on, even if it hits something inside. Are you going to clean that up? You're going to see it for what it is. You're going to play with it. You're going to have fun with it. And you can do that. I trust that you can. And I trust that you will. All right. Until next time, thank you. Cheers.